Welcome everyone to the No Dem Left Behind Town Hall. We are very excited to have Christine Pelosi hosting tonight. Christine is a lawyer, DNC member, author of the Campaign Bootcamp series, has 15 years experience training candidates for office, and is the daughter of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Christine.
Thank you. It's so good to be here with these candidates, future House members from all over the country, and important from districts where Democrats are going to need to use all of our skills and all of our energy to make sure that we get out the vote, and that we make sure that, as my friend Jane Clubb, the state chair from Nebraska Democratic Party, always says, that we harvest the vote when it comes to rural voters, and that we beware the myth of the monolith, which is to say, when we talk about base voters in swing districts, that also means base voters in rural America. And so I think when we talk about an intergenerational, interracial coalition that each of you are going to need to build to elect President Joe Biden, and to elect yourselves to the Congress, and to join hopefully your Senate colleagues as well who are on the ballot, for those of you who have nested opportunities for people to vote for a new House member, a senator, and the president. I think the most important thing for us to talk about tonight, so that you can showcase who you are and people can get to know you, is the question that we always ask at my campaign boot camps. I actually started 15 years ago on the road when everybody said the House Democrats will win in 2012. And Hillary Clinton's second term on a new map will be able to win the House. Well, obviously we rejected that idea. And the good folks at AFSCME rejected that idea, and their public service workers couldn't wait. So we started to do a boot camp series for candidates around the country. And as you know, we won in 2006, 2008, and then again, finally, in 2018. So hopefully you all will be the second wave, the Biden wave that comes in the way the Obama wave came in 2008, building on what had been built before. And I think one question that we always ask people really stems from a quote that I saw in 2004. I was actually at an event in my mom's native Baltimore, and Elijah Cummings was there. And he was talking about children being the messengers to a future that we will never see. And when Elijah talked about it, he talked about what are we telling children if they're living in trauma, if they're living in poverty, if they're living in racism, if they're living in despair. Boy, we miss him on days like today, because he would be telling us what we need to do. And we know he'd be sitting with George Floyd's brother in community when Phil Anise was testifying before the House Judiciary Committee today on the bill, the Justice and Policing bill. But the fact of the matter is, Elijah always said that. So as sort of an homage to him, for the last 15 years, I've been asking people all over the country, and in fact, traveled around the world as well, what is your call to service? What is your message to the future? So I'm going to kick it off by asking the candidates to answer the question, who are you? What's your call to service? And when you win, what's the bill? What's your signature bill that you're going to introduce in the House of Representatives? So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Rob Anderson, running in Louisiana's, oh, there you are, you're back again. I'm Rob Anderson, running in Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District, which is the southwest portion of Louisiana from Texas to the Atchafalaya Basin, includes Lake Charles, Lafayette, and many, many rural communities in between. My call to service is basically a few years ago, I realized that I could no longer sit back and complain about government, that I was in a position to actually do something about it. My kids are grown, they're off to college, and I decided I would spend the rest of my life being broke and no longer chasing money, rather than sit back and watch what was happening to our country. Injustice left and right, people not being heard. So we engaged in our first campaign in 2018, almost as a protest against a horrible incumbent down here, Clay Higgins. I'm sure most of y'all have heard his name. And then realized that we actually do have a voice. I'm a former home builder, former driller, and I think I have a personal connection with the people of this district that transcends politics itself. So I'm going out there and telling them what their government locally has been doing, which is selling out to corporate ownership to oil companies, regardless of what the people need. The politicians are all bought. So we're running a grassroots campaign, 100% financed by individual donors, and we're going out and telling people the truth. And because of who I am and my background, it's been resonating. People hear me and realize that I'm not advocating for some hidden cause. I really just want Louisiana to be better.
And your first bill that you're going to introduce and when you win?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought did I mute myself there? Sorry about that. And the first piece of legislation I would advocate for, of course, is the GROW Act, which is our personal piece of legislation to advocate for infrastructure, healthcare, and education in this district, encouraging public finance into revitalizing our region. One of the things we have to fight against is the brain drain here in Louisiana. And we want to push for alternative industry, including alternative energy, a multi-billion-dollar market in new jobs, high-tech jobs, to help bring Louisiana as a great state again into the 21st century. I can't hear you.
Who wants to go next? That was great. Thank you.
I'll go.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Donnelly Klein. I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives in West Virginia's 1st Congressional District. And my call to service was when my husband and I moved back to West Virginia, being West Virginia natives. We'd lived in D.C. for about 5 years. When our son was 2, we chose to move back here because we wanted to raise him in the same kind of West Virginia that we grew up in here in the 80s. We wanted him to have a lot of similar experiences that we had. We had not been gone for very long, and it was quite apparent that West Virginia had changed, and we were experiencing a culture shock. And I just could not get over the fact that a place that made me who I am was causing me so much culture shock. So most of that was stemming from the opioid epidemic. We are at the center, the epicenter of this epidemic here. And I cannot tell you how many times I have been in a grocery store and seeing the addicted parent pushing the buggy with their kids. And they're trying. They are trying to get by. They are trying. But there is no help. There is no way out. It's cyclical here. So that was my call to service. And our signature legislation that we are prepared to propose on day one is what we have coined the Family Reinvestment Act. And the Family Reinvestment Act will serve much like FEMA, except for social and medical crises. In this district alone, we have had 4 medical facilities close in the last 6 months. All of them were owned by the same company that purchased them cheap, stripped them from profits, and is hiding behind corporate loopholes. And our current legislator is not doing anything or proposing any bills to prevent this from happening again. So the Family Reinvestment Act will help to reestablish medical clinics, rehab programs, and mental health programs in this district. But there will be a caveat in that bill that we must have more school nurses and mental health programs in our schools, because every time I talk to our teachers, who are, by the way, feeding our children, even when they strike, our teachers tell me every single time, the only time some of these kids get to see a medical professional is at school, and the teachers just can't take them there. They can pack lunches, and they can send them home with food, and they can have what we're calling food drops for them and send it on the school bus drops during COVID, but they can't take them to the doctor. So that will be one of the caveats of our bill.
You're muted, Christine.
Mia or Tom or Alan, who's going to go? Mia, you going to go?
I'll definitely go.
Okay.
My passion began because of discrimination. I came here to Maryland looking for equality and realized that it wasn't really there. I was serving in the military through the DC National Guard and was discriminated against because I was transgender. Thankfully, President Obama changed that policy, allowed us to serve. And during that time of fighting to get back in, I lost my car, my home, my job, nearly lost my pension and my retirement. And then when President Trump came into office, I saw this great divide come through our country, and what he was spewing as hatred to hurt us all. And I didn't want to see that happen to our service members. And Donald Trump tweeted about this on July 26, 2017 to ban us again. And that really changed me to, not do business anymore, make sure I fight for my retirement and seek a political office, which is why I'm running for Maryland 1st Congressional District, won the primary, so I get to be the first transgender veteran in the entire country to win a congressional race. And it will make a difference once we restore the equity and equality. And that starts from the ground up, from our local leaders to our governors to our president, to make sure that everything is done correctly. So it is about advocating. I'm a friend, I'm a veteran, and to make sure that these people are out there who are losing their land, losing their education, losing their health care. We want to be able to make sure that it's first affordable and that they have a good paying job to bring that back in. So with Medicare for All, if I can afford $600 per year for Medicare, TRICARE for life for an entire family, I want to be able to make sure everybody has that opportunity for their family at all ages with no exclusions. And that's what I want to be able to bring in the first 100 days in office, besides making sure that we repass all 400 bills that are sitting on somebody's desk. So we have a lot of work to do.
We most certainly do, and congratulations on your historic win. Congratulations to all of you on your wins, but you particularly on your historic win. That is very exciting, and obviously, as we all know, Maryland needs your representation, and is a state that supports equality, and so their representation should too in Washington, D.C. of all their members. So good luck to you. Let's see, Alan, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Alan Ellison. I'm running for the United States House of Representatives to represent Florida's 17th Congressional District. My district is the largest congressional district in the state of Florida. It covers 9 counties in the centermost part of Florida. And I guess my call to service is akin to my spiritual gift, which is helping people. I just happen to be fortunate enough to be able to find a way to marry my spiritual gift of helping people to a career path where I can actually maximize my gift. And the things that, I want to be able to do in Congress is comprehensive, because I have a lot of constituents who suffer from all sorts of things. And so as a representative, the key thing that a person is supposed to be able to do is not to go there with their own agenda, but go there and represent the people. And so what that looks like is improving the quality of life for all citizens within the district. And we have a lot of issues. We have people that are literally being victimized by members of our society because they're immigrants or undocumented workers, and they're being raped. Home invasions are going up, especially under this administration. We have situations where the current congressman is trying to dismantle the EPA, and we live in a state where we depend heavily on our water supply and our environment, and it's being destroyed by big polluters. So I want to make sure that we strengthen our EPA. I want to make sure that we have a federal ban on the chokehold from law enforcement officers. Want to make sure that we end private prisons. And with COVID-19 reaping havoc on our healthcare system in our district, we have over 120,000 people that do not have access to healthcare. I want to be an advocate for universal healthcare. And with what's happening with our economy and our jobs, we've lost Fortune 500 companies in this district alone. And we need a serious economic jobs plan that I'm going to be pushing for. In my race, I'm the strongest candidate with job creation. I've actually helped to create over 300 jobs in this district. And so I'm looking to be that champion for the people and improve the quality of life for all people. I'm Alan Ellison, and I approve this message.
Right on. Okay, and Tom, bring us home.
Thanks. So I'm Tom Palzowitz. I am running in Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District, which is the area between Milwaukee and Madison. And one of the reasons that I'm running, it's about servant leadership. Not only am I a Navy veteran, but I've been a small business owner for the last 15 years, and I actually teach. I'm an executive coach. I teach servant leadership. And the 2016 election really got to me. I just couldn't believe that we would elect somebody that people thought this person could actually be a leader for this country. I don't even think he can be a leader in anything that he's ever tried to do. And it really got me moving, because one of the things I've told my clients over the years, you know, if you don't like something, you can either complain about it or do something about it. And I turned that back on myself and I said, what are you going to do about this? And I, like Rob, ran in 2018 against a 40-year incumbent who it was time for him to go. And then but it's really about how do we elect people that want to lead for the good of all of us, not for the good of themselves. I think one of the biggest challenges we have in Washington right now, there's far too many people who want to be there for their own benefit and not for the benefit of the rest of us. And signature legislation for me is about climate crisis. I think everything else, if we don't do something about climate crisis and we don't start doing something now, 10 years from now, there's not much, there's no turning back. So the biggest challenge for us is climate crisis. We need to shift fossil fuel subsidies over to green energy. There are a lot of things that we can do, but you know, November 4th, we're pulling out of the Paris Accord unless we elect Joe Biden president, and that is the #1 key thing that needs to happen. We need to stay in the Paris Accord, and we need to keep working on making sure we do have a climate that works for our children and our grandchildren.
Beautiful. So well said. And as each of you have talked about, these issues are intertwined: climate justice with racial justice, with police justice, with, of course, justice in healthcare. I want to ask you to give the audience a sense of what it's like for you campaigning in the time of COVID. What would you say was the one major adjustment that your campaign had to make and anticipates that you're going to have to make for the next few months between now and election day? So Mia, why don't we start with you? And we'll go up and around this time. Mia,
The governor has made some pretty significant changes here. We're starting to reopen again this Friday. We can start eating indoors with social distancing, and a lot of places have simply reopened where other states have, seen double or triple rates go up. So we're looking to go back out there, start knocking on doors this Monday. I remember several months ago, I was kicked out of 2 neighborhoods on the 12th of March and had to complete everything digital. So thankfully, I was able to still have this before I even started thinking about getting elected. And I was able to use it day one that I had to stay at home because the governor gave us a stay-at-home order. And then just making sure that we call people. And it's great if people can volunteer with us.
Rob, how about you? Mute, unmute. There you go.
Oh, thank you, Christine. As you know, initially COVID-19 was treated with a great deal of skepticism, especially here in, as we shall say, the informationally challenged South. It was being treated as a political issue instead of a healthcare issue. And we're still seeing ongoing challenges with that. Information, getting good information out there. My campaign has obviously gone almost full digital. Our staff are interacting with people all over the district, and groups are reaching out to us more as this becomes sort of the new normal, campaigning during a time when social distancing is the rule of the day. So as we saw a couple weeks back, and then again we'll be doing this weekend at the Black Lives Matter protest, we can join together and express our First Amendment rights and do it safely. Everybody in Louisiana at the protests I've been at wore masks, and as soon as speakers finished speaking, spread out to protest peacefully, and yet using our constitutional rights to share our message. So our team has kind of followed my district. We've followed how they do. A lot of more emails, a lot more Zoom calls and webinars like this. This is what we're doing right now, trying to advocate for everybody to be safe, but letting them know what their choices are. And please get out the vote and tell your neighbor, get out and vote. And as other people have pointed out, this is a great group of candidates, by the way. It is imperative that we get Joe Biden elected and replace Donald Trump.
Well, speaking of which, Tom, you're a second-time candidate. So what's the difference between campaigning now in the time of COVID versus, full out on the streets before, and when do you go back out on the streets?
Yeah, great question. We spent the last go round, I call it going out and finding all the Democrats. We really had to get the Democrats to be much more loud and proud. And so we worked with down ballot candidates. We worked with up ballot candidates. We really worked hard to get out there. And Natalie and I were talking earlier to be visible. Because if you're not visible, it's really hard for people to get to know you. Mm-hmm. And that's paying off now because we've built a great network across the 6 different counties in Wisconsin. And part of that network now is they're doing phone banking, they're doing texting, they're doing things that are really helping us get the word out about our campaign. Because we got the Democrats to vote for us last time, but now we need some Republicans to vote for us this time. So it's going to be social media. We're doing virtual house parties. We're doing everything that we can. We actually did book a house party that we're doing next week. It's going to be in person, but the guy has a farm, so he has this huge tent we can all show up at. We're all going to be like 100 feet apart, and it's going to work. But I'm very cognizant. I personally don't want to put people in harm's way, and I think it's really important to understand that it's just an election. People's lives matter more. So we really worked hard on that because I live with somebody who just can't afford to get COVID, and so I've been making sure that whatever I do with my campaign staff and our volunteers. So that's been the major difference.
Interesting. And you have a great new state chair, and hopefully less voter suppression. Ben Wickler, who's great. But also, you know, and I know that this is a challenge. Hello, Florida. I don't know, maybe George is the new poster child, not you all, but for voter suppression. But so tell us how you're campaigning in the time of COVID, and also what you're doing specifically on this. Did what happened in Georgia last night change what you might do as you go out in Florida in your district in the 17th over the next 140 some days?
So first of all, let me say this. I didn't get to say it before, but thank you very much for having this town hall with us. We really do appreciate it. Prior to COVID-19, we were doing some very aggressive campaigning in this district. As I said before, we really haven't had true representation in a very long time in this district, and there have been various groups within our society that have felt that they just did not have a voice. So one of the things that our campaign was doing was we were going to all of the churches throughout the district, and I was speaking in as many as 6 churches every single Sunday. And we were reaching these individuals with our message. Our message pretty much transcends party lines because it's a message of progressiveness that speaks to everyone about improving the quality of life. So when COVID hit, we took a blow because we were not able to get in front of people. And our campaign had to shift, like most of our campaigns have, to an all digital campaign. And then we saw the death of our brother, George Floyd. And in under 9 minutes, you know, his life was snuffed out. And it has caused a movement throughout the country. And so one of the things that I always try to do is I try to take negative energy and do something positive with it. So last week, we rolled out the 9-minute challenge, which is a campaign to get people that really care about this issue and really want to see justice had to register to vote. Take 9 minutes to register to vote. Take 9 minutes to request a vote by mail ballot. And then when the time comes, take 9 minutes to actually vote like your life depends on it, because it actually does. And so the other day when we did that, we got over 500 new volunteers to the campaign because we asked them to text 9 minutes to our campaign's phone number, and people did it at the Black Lives Matter movement, and we're starting to see more and more people that want to see real change get involved in the political process. And I'm a firm believer that if we're going to have change, we need to have it at the federal level, at the state level, and at the county level, which means we have to socially engage and we have to do political action.
And that's beautiful. I think we're all going to steal that 9-minute challenge, are we not, everybody? Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing. And that's a brilliant idea. Natalie? What's it been like for you campaigning in the time of COVID?
So, you know, we had to change our campaign, and we changed overnight. I'm very proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
When the campaign originally started, you know, we started ramping up and attending everybody's events, every county level executive committee meeting, every steak fry, every fish fry, we were there.
Mm-hmm.
We have 20 counties in this district. So when we really started kicking off the campaign after the first of the year, we said we were going to be in every single county hosting a town hall, because our incumbent has not done that in 10 years since he's been elected.
Oh my goodness.
So people deserve to be able to speak with their candidate face to face instead of always doing a virtual town hall where the conversation can be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing this when COVID hit. We didn't quite make it to all 20 counties. But overnight, we switched to a virtual platform, and we were doing town halls with No Dem Left Behind. We also did town halls with different county level executive committees. We hosted some of our own, and we also joined forces with other candidates in the state to take part in their virtual town halls. One of the unique things that we did is we actually put a widget on the homepage of our website that allows people to go and schedule a time to talk to your candidate, me, one-on-one over the phone. And it was wildly successful. People couldn't believe that a candidate would be willing to speak to them on their cell phone and let them have their cell phone number and actually have a one-on-one conversation with them. And that really resonated with people, and we did very well with that. And right now, as West Virginia's, you know, been reopening, we are still not prepared to start doing in-person town halls again. We feel it would be irresponsible to invite the large crowd where we, you know, don't always know if people are going to follow PPE protocols and wear their masks. But we are going to start going out and being present physically at events where we feel comfortable and talking to as many people as possible, and start a huge canvassing tour and get back in all 20 counties. But we're also going to continue to do the call your candidate sessions, because people really appreciate when you listen to them, and that gets neglected far too much.
So absolutely true. And, you know, each of you has given us hope, and we hope that there's no Dem left behind in your districts come the fall. I know this is going to start very early, and the military ballots will be mailed out in 100 days. People will be voting, as Mia could tell us, and Tom knows. So you know how this goes, right? It's happening very, very quickly. And I think what we want to do is make sure that people are in touch with you. There are No Dem Left Behind friends. Have they been flashing your websites on the screen so people can get your information? Let's hope that's happening. But let's make sure that you all give us the opportunity to help you and stay in touch with you. And as you're having, people go out and do the canvassing, it also gives you a marketing opportunity to make sure the PPE has all your campaign stuff on it. So I know you'll figure out a way either to gently attach a sticker or something to your masks, or have the mask in. So I think we'll be wearing masks for a while. So that's that's just another practical reality. Tom, I hope we see you at the convention in August. I hope we have some sort of a convention in August. Otherwise, we might be Zooming with you. But before we hand it over to the next set of candidates, I just wanted to give you all a chance to do what we do at our congressional campaign boot camps, which is your congressional 1 minute. Because when you get to Congress, you get to talk to 1 minute on the House floor. So let's whip back around, starting with Natalie, and then we'll go around the circle. Give us your closing argument, 1 minute, why we should elect you to the House of Representatives.
You should elect me because I care about your health, our jobs, and our children's future. I'm here to diversify West Virginia's job market instead of ignoring it and sending all of our resources, profits, and people out of state. I'm here to fight for your health care so that we can start seeing more medical facilities open instead of close. We have a big enough problem being able to afford health care, let alone access it here. So it's time we start having some options that actually work for us. And I will fight every single day to make the lives of our children more promising in this state. Right now, West Virginia loses 45 people per day to other states. And I think that I share the same sentiment as everybody else, where we want our babies and our grandbabies to be able to stay close to home, and we need to make sure that we're giving them that choice. So I'm Natalie Klein. I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives in West Virginia's 1st Congressional District, and you can find me at nataliekleinforcongress.com.
Excellent, excellent. Alan?
I'm Alan Ellison, again, running for the United States House of Representatives to represent you in Congress. I believe that I am the best candidate to represent your interests because I come from where you come from. I've spent over 30 years in this district. I understand what it means to be looked over, forgotten about, and underrepresented in this district. I'm looking to change that. I'm looking to represent your interests because you matter. My family's here. I grew up here, and I love this place, and I want to make sure that we have a strong future for our children and our children's children. You can help us out with campaign contributions. Please visit our website at ellisonforcongress.com. Also, you can help all of us collectively by visiting NoDemLeftBehind.com, and that's a great way to get involved with our campaigns, both financially and individually. And for those of you who are in Congress, please help us out. Help us to reach our audiences, give us some endorsements, and do everything in your power to make sure that we can be there to support you and your efforts as we move this country forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
So I think it's time to send people to Washington that are servant leaders. And I think it's time to elect people that want to represent all of their constituents, not just the people that vote for them. I think it's incredibly important that we have people that are interested in creating competence in government, that government works for us, that is willing to invest in infrastructure, is willing to tackle climate, is willing to create a universal health care program that works for all, and is finally ready to do something about gun violence prevention. And more importantly, we need to end gerrymandering, and we need to make voter suppression go away, because this is about representing people, not representing special interests. So I'm Tom Palzowitz. I'm running in the 5th Congressional District of Wisconsin. You can visit us at tomforwi.com. It's a lot easier than my last name. And then, you know, like Alan said, No Dem Left Behind, great group. We're working hard because we want to go to Washington to make a difference and make a change.
Thank you, Tom. Good luck. Mia?
Madam Speaker, I am Mia Mason. I am running for our Marylanders out in Maryland's 1st Congressional District, a gerrymandered district. I've been out there hearing their stories, amplifying their voice, taking the time to be with them to understand what their issue is in each of the several counties that are who they want to be, whether it ranges from environmental issues, jobs, opioid crisis, or gun control for sanctuary cities that they want to try to create that need to be changed with great reform for the police out there. I'm running because this is my passion, and I understand that they want a candidate that has a passion to serve them and represent them. And this is why I want to be able to make sure that I bring their voice to the House floor each day to speak to them. And with that, they can call me at 410-94-MASON, reach us at miadmason.us. I actually answer the phone, and if you want to volunteer, join us at nodemleftbehind.com, make a donation. Information is at the bottom of your screen, and I yield my time.
Beautiful. She's ready. Bring us home, Rob.
All right, thank you, Christine, and thank you to No Dems Left Behind and all of y'all especially. This has actually been a great session. I even put it on a jacket for y'all. My name is Rob Anderson. I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District because I am one of the people of the working class that I look to serve. It's a diverse district. It's a district that can be great. So I want to be the congressman who can look to the future and not to the past. Our traditions are important, but it's more important that we preserve our way of life by continuing forward. My opponent has done nothing in 4 years, nothing at all to serve his own district. He serves his party. We really need, and we're on the Gulf, so other people have brought up climate change. And down here, we pretend climate change isn't a thing while we watch our coast get eroded every day. So Louisiana is, on that cusp of the past and the future. And I think we can be leaders in alternative energy and climate change remediation, because for us, it's real. This is real life. And it's time that we put aside political arguments and actually look to solve the problems in our district. I'm a former blue collar guy. I like blueprints. I look at them, but then we act, and we have to act. And that's what I love about this group, is that we're all people from various walks of life, but we all do stuff. And I'm a guy who will do stuff. My name is Rob Anderson, most widely known on Twitter as Rob Anderson 2018. Thank you for the follow, Christine, by the way. And my website is robandersonforcongress.com. Check it out. If you want to volunteer, sign up there. Sign up for No Dem Left Behind. I understand people are poor. I'm in a rural district. I understand. I give my time to you. Help us out.
Thank you. And thank all of you for having the courage to run. It's so important to remember that change begins with the power of personal story, begins with that message that Elijah said we're sending to the future. And obviously, one of the things that we'll also all be fighting for together will be universal broadband, because we certainly know, having moved so many things to digital, how many people are still left behind after that. So, that's part of your infrastructure plans. I know we'll include that as well. And we will obviously be greatly enhanced by your service. So good luck. We'll see you on the road, and we'll see you in the House of Representatives. Thanks, everybody. Let's all give a virtual hand to our first panel as we click on to the second group. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we ready for some more friends to come in? Yes, look what we have. Hello, hello. Hi, here we go. Oh, some more. Wow, I like flip. There we go. That's good. Good message. Very direct. Here we are. Okay, hi. Welcome, everybody. Well, you heard the first part, so you know what I'm going to ask you, which is, we're just going to go around the little circle here. We'll start to my. Oh, look, she keeps changing it up on me. That's all right. We're gonna start up at the top. But let us hear from each of you. Your call to service, what brings you to run for Congress, and what your signature legislation is going to be when you get there. Doctor, we'll begin with you.
Hi, thanks for having us here today. We really appreciate it. And I know all of my No Dem Left Behind coalition members appreciate having such an enthusiastic town hall today. So I'm Dr. Sydney Vanier. I'm running for Florida Congressional District 19. And I am compelled to service because I have been working for our community for the past 11 years. I am a mom. I raised 3 kids here, but I'm also working with nonprofits. I ran a nonprofit helping homeless families here in our district for 4 years. But most recently, I've been working doing community convenings and community organizing and researching. I'm part-time faculty at Florida Gulf Coast University. What I always tell people in our community is that I'm here to raise your voice to be on the same level as CEOs and politicians and leaders. And what I would do is I would write reports based on these community convenings, and I would take it to our leadership, and they would pat me on the head and say, thanks, and not do anything about it. And it really bothered me. And I realized that if we really wanted to see change in our community, if we really wanted to have the people's voice be served, they needed leaders that were ready and willing to listen to them. And so I'm working to be the servant leader that our community deserves. And that's what's compelling me and the technical side of things. But I also, when we're talking about signature legislation, I am somebody who actually has a policy for everything. So I have like 16 policy pages. I'm a policy wonk. I'm a, like I said, part-time professor in political science. So this is my bread and butter. But my signature piece of legislation will actually harken back to my early days in activism in Southwest Florida around being a complete streets advocate. So working to make sure that we have multimodal transportation and streets that work for everybody. So my bill is called the Everybody Goes Bill, and it makes sure that we have good sidewalks, streets that are safe, slow moving, so that pedestrians can walk, so that our seniors are safe, so that children can get to school, people can ride their bike, and we can have generally safe transportation. I actually envision this being part of what I think is going to be necessary at the beginning of the 117th Congress, which is the massive, massive economic stimulus plan. So this is the type of thing that we can work into our fiscal policy to help restart our economy after everything that we've been through here in 2020. So I would like to make sure that we take our investment in infrastructure, which is going to be needed, and making sure that it goes into everybody goes. So we have complete streets and public transportation and all the things necessary to make sure everybody can get where they need to go.
That's beautiful. Adam, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Adam Christensen. I'm running for Congress here in District 3 in Florida. The question that you asked, the last group, what made them really, what sparked them? For me, 2 years ago here in Florida, Parkland happened. And for me, watching that and watching the heartbreak and watching the terror and watching the fear and just this level of feeling like they couldn't do anything. No one could do anything. And then watching a group of kids, watching a group of young people that stood up and said, look, nobody's going to fix our problems for us. No one's going to fight for us. And so we have to do it ourselves. We have to be the change. We have to go out there. We have to organize. And the beautiful thing that I saw was a group of people that no one would ever expect to be able to have a voice, go out there and with passion and courage say, this is what we are fighting for. We are fighting for our lives, we are fighting for our future, and we're fighting to make sure that, we actually can have a future. And so for me, when I looked at the race here, most people thought, it wasn't going to be winnable. They thought that for 15 years. And I looked at it and I said, look, the guy who has been here for 8 years, Ted Yoho, he's retiring. On top of that, we now no longer have felony disenfranchisement. We have more voters. Our demographics are changing. And at the same time, we are able to reach people with passion and say, look, we're not going to complain about things any longer. We're going to get out there and we're going to do the work and we're going to fix this and we're going to win this district and we're going to flip this place because guess what? We don't have a choice. And so for me, my signature legislative piece, in Congress, we have to pass Medicare for all. It would give a ton of people way more money in their pockets. It would be a small business tax cut. But on top of that, people don't just want more money at this point because why? They are just paying more bills. They're just paying more expenses. And so for us, we want to give people money in their pockets and we want to be able to give them something they can do with it. The building behind me is a small business incubator attached to the University of Florida. It basically takes companies from around here and says, you're a startup, you have an idea. We're going to give you mentors. We're going to give you a place to be that has cheap rent, and we're going to allow you and help you build something for your community. And what I want to do is I want to take that idea as a nonprofit kind of idea and put it in the rural places in our county, in the towns, increase the businesses, increase small businesses, stop money from leaving our communities and actually stay here and give people my age, people that are older than me, a piece of their community. Because I think that right now that's the biggest thing that we're missing. And so for me, that would be my biggest piece of legislation that I would love to push for. First and foremost, obviously healthcare, but that's it.
That's great. Thank you. Jamie, I like the sign behind you. Flip. Tell us about it. Tell us about you.
I'm Jamie Cheek. I'm running in Utah's 1st Congressional District. Rob Bishop is retiring, so we don't have an incumbent. So this is an opportunity for us to make a real difference. And that's part of my call to serve is that we don't have an incumbent here, and we've never nominated a progressive Democrat. And so I feel like this is a time for us to try something different. I also work for the state of Utah, and for over 7 years, I've worked with people with disabilities and some of the most disenfranchised people in our communities. And I see exactly how laws made in Washington and in the state legislature affect those vulnerable populations. And I see the harm that is done when we add work requirements to Medicaid or when we reduce SNAP benefits. And it hurts when you see that happen. And I realized in 2016, being a consistent voter isn't enough. And I saw the awesome work that we did in 2018 to make such a difference and take back the House. And so I was like, why not? 2020 is the year. Rob Bishop's retiring. Let's do it. And then my signature piece of legislation, kind of that I was talking about, healthcare is the cornerstone of my campaign. We have over 50,000 Utahns who are uninsured or underinsured in my district. And so we need to do something different. So Medicare for all is a big piece. I know it's not going to happen overnight. It's probably not even going to happen in our first session, but we can move the needle and we can make progressive steps forward on healthcare and make it more accessible and more affordable for more people. Thank you.
Thank you. And so important to include people with disabilities in all our campaigns. And, you know, as we're looking at the anniversary of the ADA coming up, a big round number, 30, big 30 coming up this summer, I know that all of you will want to incorporate that new celebration into your work, obviously in your policy platforms, but obviously your Get Out the Vote platforms as well. Because we do know while we want people to vote at home where they can, we also know that some people need to vote in person, and you know, obviously we are always balancing security with the secret ballot, and so, you know, we want to make sure that those logistics are there, and obviously for the polling places that are there where we have curbside pickup and whatnot, that they are ADA accessible. So, you know, thank you, Jamie, for running, but also for the reminder for me to remind everybody, last panel and this panel too, then we talk about No Dem Left Behind, we talk about all our people in the communities with disabilities, and that's not just the quote unquote disability community, but it's the public school community where you're talking about children with disabilities and their para-educators. It's our veterans, many of whom are wounded warriors of one way or another, and of course it's our seniors. Everybody knows somebody who has a disability. There are also people with invisible disabilities. So, you know, the more we all are making sure that you incorporate that into your Get Out the Vote plan, and I'll be sending No Dem Left Behind my Get Out the Vote checklist, so you'll all have it and be able to use it. The 30 questions you should ask yourself, you know, 125 days out, which is going to be in a week or two, and then start to answer in your campaign, the better. So anyway, thank you, Jamie, and thank you for that reminder for all of us to include persons with disabilities throughout our efforts. Devin, please tell us about yourself. Unmute.
I think he had a late night, so.
He did. Okay, so Devin, do we have you yet?
We can't hear you. But Devin's going to a runoff election, so he was one of the few in Georgia. So it's very exciting night for him last night, and so happy that he gets to fight for another day with us here at No Dem Left Behind.
How are we doing, Devin? You want to go to Michael and then come back?
How's that?
Oh, there we go.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Technical difficulties taken care of.
There you go.
All right. Well, my name is Devin Pandy. I am running to be the District 9 of Georgia representative in the United States House of Representatives. I am running because I started, we all know that living in rural America is tough. It's tough, and we are often forgotten. And we are definitely in a situation where the top three has been neglected: education, healthcare, and infrastructure. So those things are definitely important to me. That's part of the reason why I ran. The catalyst to actually make me decide to run was watching our current representative shamelessly defending the president during the impeachment hearing, and that same night after watching it, discussing with someone about possibly supporting someone running against him, and then the next day finding out that no one was, and having a few people approach me and asking me to run. I took that as a sign and ran with it, and so here I am. And so my signature piece of legislation, well, one, I decided not to wait to actually get to Congress to start legislating. So I have proposed the Essential Workforce Protection Act here in Georgia on the state level, and that legislation has actually been signed on to by two state legislators here, and will be introduced at the next session of the Georgia legislature. And then also on the federal level, I have produced a framework for the Home for the Brave Act, which will authorize Congress to use the Morrill Act to create institutions of higher learning geared towards veterans and reentry programs and long-term affordable housing for our homeless veterans. I am a veteran. I am a wounded veteran. I'm a wounded combat veteran. And so that is something that is near and dear to my heart. But like I said, I decided not to wait to get to Congress to start legislating. So that framework is actually sitting on a congressional staffer's desk as we speak. So I'm really hopeful that both of those, the state level and the federal level acts will be pushed through so that we can get some really good needed help to our citizens that need it.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your legislative ideas. That's very exciting, very exciting. Michael, tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Christine, for hosting this today, and good to see everybody here. Go Devin, Mia, and Natalie. Congratulations. My name is Michael Moscato, and I'm running for United States Congress in Arizona's 8th Congressional District, a district that came within 4.5% of flipping in 2018. And it was the first time in my life, having been born and raised here, where the Democratic Party support got behind this district. And we almost did the impossible. And now it's going to take the hometown kid to finish the job. And that's exactly what I'm here to do. And when you asked a great question about what was my call to service. And I've had a unique path. I grew up, I played professional baseball. I had a unique opportunity there. And I came back home from that to a recession and no job opportunities. And in my experience becoming a professional video director and crew chief in the music entertainment industry, traveling the world as a small business owner the last 7 years, I've seen that American dream of being able to lift yourself up and by your bootstraps and put in that work. That American dream is becoming harder and harder to achieve for everyone. The youth of today in my state continue to leave out of state because we don't have the job opportunities. And as I traveled the world, I noticed that my brother and other service members like Devin didn't have enough funding for their Humvees. I watched as our first responders who risked their lives in 9/11 took people like John Stewart to bring to the media attention to make sure that their benefits were taken care of. I saw our VA system in shambles. I saw our education continuously efforts to defund it in Arizona. And I saw the same people in office year after year after year doing the same policies, resulting in the same outcomes. And that includes my opponent. I'm a person who likes to do things. I'm not going to sit back and allow the same thing to continue to happen. I step up to the challenge, and that's what I've done. And I plan on taking this election home. I plan on winning this handily this year and really making a statement for this district and the people of my hometown who, like me, believe that the job of a member of Congress is to represent the people of the district, not a political party's leadership. And I think we'd be a better country if we had more representatives like that in office. Now, to your question about legislation, I realized going into this, I'm going to be a freshman congressman. And I know that doesn't add up to a whole lot of weight from what I've heard. But I'm going to support things that we all need, like better healthcare, more affordable healthcare, more expansive healthcare. But as we've seen recently, as a small business owner, as one of millions, I've watched as we have leaders in office who expect small business owners to have 6 months of savings in their pocket when most margins for small business owners across the country are just enough to put a roof over their heads and food on the table. So what I want to do is make ownership of the buildings of small business owners more accessible, something that if hard times come to play, they have equity, that their sweat equity has been put into an ownership. There's no 401k for a small business owner in this country. It's whatever you can do to put your work in. So I have a plan to bring that to Washington, D.C., and I have a plan to win this election. So thanks for having me.
That's great. Thank you. So Devin, we're going to put you on the spot because you're Georgia, and we all saw what happened in Georgia. So tell us a little bit, and some of you, hello, Florida, Arizona, you know, you got your fair share of voter suppression too. So tell us what your campaign is going to do, or what advice you have for other Democrats around the country and for your own supporters about what can be done to stop the voter suppression that we saw in your state last night.
Yes. Whew. Well, the first thing you can do to end the voter suppression that you saw in my state last night was vote.
Mm-hmm.
Vote for the people who you know are going to have your backs. Vote for the people that you know are going to do the right thing for the people, not what is right for the party. Now, yesterday, I decided, after I heard about what was going on in Cobb County and Fulton County, those counties are not in my district, but of the 20 counties in my district, I drove around to 3 of them, and I stopped at a few different polling places. Lo and behold, in District 9, where it is 86.9% white, we had 0 issues. We had no issues that I saw myself, no issues that I heard of from my future constituents. And that's great. I'm so glad that everything went smoothly. But now you go back to Fulton County and Cobb County, and you look at the demographics there and all of the issues that they had, and that will tell you a lot. And so Stacey Abrams said it well. Our Secretary of State could have spent that $400,000 that he spent on new machines, and he could have hired 2,600 poll workers at $20 an hour to make sure that things ran well. So, like I said, vote, and we have to get out there in droves, because like we saw last night, just the bare minimum of us voting plus the voter suppression that is actively going on, we need 125% of us to vote just so that we can get 65% of us to count.
So true. We have to be really focused on those votes, and on those votes early, starting with when the active duty military folks are voting with their overseas ballots, in just 100 days. So it's really, we're coming up on the deadline. I'm curious, for those of you who are running in states where there's also a very contested Senate race or presidential on the ballot, how you're working that. Let's go to Arizona, because Arizona, y'all are the next state to flip, right? You're the next state to flip, and Mark Kelly's running a very strong race against McSally, the appointed senator from Arizona. So how does your race fit into Joe Biden and Mark Kelly's races, and how do you think that has an impact on your race? And you have your volunteers are for all 3 of you, and are those 2 candidates going to be helping you? How does that work? Michael.
So we play a big role in helping Mark Kelly and Joe Biden flip a county and an area that gave Donald Trump a lot of votes. And the way that we do that is there's a lot of infrastructure in Arizona and attention, and we're excited about it. And it allows us to bring out the Democratic turnout, and it allows a campaign like ours to continue to provide outreach to the independents and disenfranchised Republicans that we need to win the election, and that we need to show the candidates like myself and Mark Kelly and Joe Biden are going to represent the people of America. They're not going to play the partisan games, and they're not going to be on the extreme side of the country's issues. We're going to be a steady force. So our volunteer game is very strong. Our field game is strong. And it's going to be able to allow us to reach those people for them. Obviously, with the coronavirus situation, things transferred into a digital platform. And the good thing for us is that we were one of those campaigns that was already very equipped on a digital side of things. So it's helped us tremendously to just keep moving forward. We didn't skip a beat. And in Arizona, we're living proof. We're one of the states that's living proof that voting by mail actually does work, and it's easy and it's effective. And it's only people like my opponent and the president who know that when you get more of the voice of the people heard, the result for them is that they will be removed from office. And that's why you've seen my opponent has tried to get the RNC to come to Arizona, despite the fact that Arizona is leading the country in coronavirus case growth. And I was just informed that it's not coming here to Arizona, thank goodness. But we have to Devin's point, we got to elect these new people into office who are going to represent the people and vote out the people who are currently sitting there.
Jamie, your senator did something very interesting this week. Mitt Romney actually said Black Lives Matter and marched outside the White House. How is that going over at home in your district, and how are you addressing the issue of police violence and racial discrimination in the context of your campaign and your advocacy in your race for Congress?
Absolutely. The growing list of things that I've appreciated that Romney has done is, getting a little bit bigger over time, which is shocking. And I think, honestly, a lot of the voters here are pretty upset. But I think that he's showing he's on the right side of history. And for that, I applaud him. He's willing to speak out when others aren't. And I think that he's going to be part of the reason why we're able to flip Utah and why we're able to elect Joe Biden in 2020. Because he's doing the work now for that to happen. As far as protests here in the state of Utah, we've actually had quite a few. I was able to join the one that was here in Ogden. It's a very peaceful protest with over 2,000 people. And this was in direct opposition. We just lost an officer a couple of days beforehand, the first officer we lost since 2012. And so there was some worries about some tension about, this being an anti-police protest, about the police are there to protect us. And that wasn't the case. It was really beautiful to see these police officers coming to let, Ogdenites have that peaceful protest and us being able to thank them for the work that they're doing and be able to get the message out that Black lives matter and that we need to be doing more than just saying it, and just being anti-racist isn't enough. And so part of my campaign is that when I've had a couple of debates so far the last couple of weeks, and so I've been doing research and I've been finding out what are the policy positions that are being supported by Black Lives Matter, what are people asking for. And so here in Utah, Lex Scott created a policy proposal, the Transparency in Policing and Accountability Act, and they founded the Black Lives Matter here in Utah. And that's something that I've been advocating for. It's something that we need to do. It will make a big difference in the way that we see police brutality. I also stand behind the Stop the Eight, which would directly reduce 72% of police brutality by, creating body cameras, removing chokeholds, and those are really important. And then I did just see the other day where the House Democrats announced their police reform bill, which I think is an amazing step forward. And the Senate is, what they're going to do, what they're going to do. But I think that it's important that we have these conversations and that we show that we're serious and that we're going to take a real step forward on these issues. And I think it's been great to see when police brutality is happening, it's being held accountable. And that's something we haven't seen for a really long time. And so I just let my community know that I'm here to listen and I'm here to advocate for them, not speak for them, but sort of get the policies that matter to them and get them in front of the people that matter.
Very powerful testimony today by Philonise Floyd, George Floyd's brother. I encourage you to take, you and the audience to take, it's about 6 minutes of his opening statement, but so powerful. And I spoke to the speaker before coming on tonight and told her I was going to be with all of you. And she was talking about meeting him, behind the scenes and how he was really just so direct with her. Are you going to pass this bill? Tell me that you are going to pass this bill. This is a bill that I want to, Adam, as we switch over to you and you tell us a little bit about the newly re-enfranchised felons and how, what that means for people returning into being productive members of society. What is your voter registration and organizing plan to enhance your voter turnout with people who've been previously disenfranchised, and how do you bring them into the other conversations that you're having in your campaign about healthcare and gun violence and small business?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, right now, as you know, the history of Florida with, voter disenfranchisement as well as just voter suppression is one of those things that's really plagued us for a while. I'll tell you how we flipped Florida blue. Number one, up until this year, and with the help of a lot of groups, we didn't run a person in every single House race across the state, and that is changing this year. In our congressional district, we have, I believe, 5 congressional districts, and we have gone to 4 out of those 5, and to the people that are running, and we either helped find the people that are running, or we made sure that there was someone. We said, we want to help you, because the better that you do, the better we do. And the better that we do, the better that the presidential race goes for us and Florida goes. And so right now, especially in a lot of the rural counties that we have, if we bump up each of the House districts 5 to 6%, that's a swing of 1 to 2% for us. And at the end of the day, for the presidential, that may just be enough. And so for us, we're partnering with groups that have been out there registering formerly convicted felons that now have the right to vote back, but they may not know it. We are working to register new students and people that are newly able to be registered to vote using University of Florida, Santa Fe, as well as other groups. We are partnering with basically different groups that are out there that's been their main message is registering people to vote. And so we are going to be doing the biggest get out the vote we possibly can, because if we want to flip Florida blue, I think it can go, but it's going to start in North Central Florida. And if North Central Florida can get a little bit of a boost, if we can get some resources here, we are going to be able to swing it. Right now, our campaign is made up of 33 young people under the age of 26 that said, we can't sit back, we have to do something. And we think this is the biggest thing that we can do in order to help, number one, the Democratic Party, and number two, defeat Donald Trump here, nationally. And so right now, focusing on the House races, focusing on our congressional race, sharing resources, getting data on the people that would be persuadable voters, that's the biggest thing right now that we need is data. Right now, our congressional races, Cindy knows this, and Alan knows this, it costs about $4 grand to be able to access Vote Builder for a congressional race. And right now, if we're doing grassroots campaigns that don't have a lot of funding and we're going the David and Goliath route, we at least need a sling. And so for us, being able to have access to data like that would be able to allow grassroots campaigns, young campaigns, passionate campaigns that have a voter base and that have people on there to be able to have a shot. And at the end of the day, it's going to bring more people in the Democratic Party. It's going to increase donations, and it's going to help Florida flip blue. And so I think that would be one of the biggest things that we can start with is getting that data and getting people registered to vote that have not been registered before.
Unmute yourself.
How are you, Cindy, going after those independent voters and fed up Republicans that you're going to need to add to your Democratic tally in order to win?
Oh yeah, that's a really great question. My district right now, we have our incumbent is retiring, so this is an open district. I think it's going to be one of the most exciting races in the state of Florida. By the way that the 10 Republicans who have lined up are ready to go and raring to go and calling me a socialist on Twitter and attacking each other all over the place and all on pledged undying loyalty to Donald Trump. So I think what we're really going to be able to do in order to flip this district is to appeal to the people who are the regular everyday people in this district who are hurting through the coronavirus, who are hurting because of what we see around the country in relation to civil unrest and police brutality. And they are tired of not having a leader and not having a voice. And those two things, they're different, right? Because we need a leader, but we don't need a strong man. And that's what we got. We got the guy that's going to bash it down and just keep bashing it until everything is fine. There are so many people in my district who are tired of that. They are tired of this let's just jam it in there and we're going to fix it and we're just going to lie and we're going to deceive. There's enough people that know that, in the state of Florida, our coronavirus numbers are going back up. So maybe we should have had a little better leadership on how we were going to address that pandemic. And, we're sitting here in Lee County. I'm in General Robert E. Lee County, fighting to get the General Robert E. Lee statue in downtown Fort Myers to not return, because we are the only place in the country that took down the statue and gave it to the Confederate group to save from the protesters. We gave it to the racists to protect from the people who have been hurt by its racism. And there's enough people in our completely crazy. So what we're trying to do is go at the issues, not let the deflection that happens from every single one of the Republicans in this race to affect them and affect the way that they know and they feel and they see the things happening around our community. They know that some of these things are wrong. They know that we need to have public health policy. They know that we need to have police reform. And they need somebody who has the knowledge and ability to do it. And I bring that to the table. So I bring that to the table, and that's how we've been messaging this across the district is, you really want somebody who knows how leadership and government works, because these problems are coming from a lack of leadership and a lack of governance structures, then you might want to elect somebody who knows how to do that. And then I take it a step further. I'd say, I'm a working mom. I'm a single mom. I'm a lot like a lot of people in this district who are struggling to get by every single day. I'm not somebody who came down here to retire and thought it would be fun to run for Congress. I'm not somebody who took $30 million of their Dunkin' Donut dollars to invest in this race just because, gee, that would be great too. I'm a regular working person working for regular working people here. I'm a mom. And now in these times of uncertainty, we need our moms. Because what do moms do? Moms lift us up. Moms tell us the things that we need to hear. They provide us comfort and they provide us strength. And that's what I think we need. And I think that's the message that's going to resonate across my district as we reach out. One of the things for me is that my youngest daughter is in the vulnerable population. So I have to stay home. So I've been leveraging every single piece of digital technology that I can to get this message out all across social media, virtual town halls like this. I got a podcast and connecting people. I have texting campaigns, phone calls, just trying to reach people because I have to stay home. I've been doing a lot of back end advocacy as well. And I think there's a lot of people that are like me too, that need to protect their families in this time. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working, and just reaching out and letting everybody that if they send mama to Congress, things are going to get done.
Well, obviously, I'm not going to argue with you on that point. We're all for that. Closing arguments. We're going to start down with Michael, then Devin, then Jamie, then Adam, and then back up to you, Cindy. So let's hear your congressional 1 minute. Tell us why we should volunteer for you, vote for you, and give us your website or other contact information. Okay, thanks.
Outstanding, and thanks again for having us. Everything I am and everything I ever will be is right here in my hometown. I'm born and raised here, and 2-3 months ago, I had a vision for what my children's future might look like. And as I sit here today, unless we change things in Congress and unless we change things at the top of our leadership, whether it's at the federal level or the state level, that future isn't guaranteed for us anymore. And I've said it from the beginning, our hometowns, our families, and our country are always worth fighting for. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here in an area that for 36 years of my life has been controlled by one party and a handful of people. And if your life isn't where you want it to be, we need to hold those people accountable. And we need to put it in the hands of a person that's going to represent the values of the people of the district and not the political party or the party's leadership. Thank you for having me on tonight. You can follow me on Twitter, Michael_Muscato, MUSCATO, like the wine, but my mother does say that I'm sweeter. You can also visit my website, Muscato4Congress.com. Thank you, and everybody take care.
Devin?
Andy, and I am a 21-year wounded combat veteran. I spent the entire first 2 decades of my life serving this country. I wish to do so again, this time instead of from Iraq and Afghanistan and Kuwait, from Washington, D.C. I am striving to let those who do not share my party politics know that I will represent them just as vigorously as I will anybody else. I want those who look like me and who are conditioned to think that their vote does not count. It does. It very much so does. Ask anyone who put someone into power now if it counts. It absolutely does. So I am running to give people a choice. We have not had a real choice in this district for over two decades. It's time for a choice. It's time for a change. It's time for Devin Pandy. And you can follow me on social media by searching for @Devin Pandy for Congress. And you can also go to my website, which is devinpandyforcongress.com.
Thank you, Devin. Jamie.
Awesome. So I'm Jamie Cheek, and I'm running to be the first Democratic Congresswoman for Utah's 1st Congressional District. I'm running a progressive campaign, a grassroots campaign, a fighting campaign for Utah. We need a voice for the families of Utah. We need a voice for the workers of Utah, and I am the one who's willing to have that fight for you in Congress. We need a change. We have our primary, the ballots just dropped this week, and you have to have it in by June 30th. If we want to flip this seat in 2020, we have to nominate somebody different. We have to try something new. And that's how we're going to make a difference. We are going to give the people of Utah a voice, and that's why we're going to vote Jamie Cheek for Utah. My website is cheekforutah.com. My Twitter is @cheekforutah, and you can also find me on Facebook. Thanks.
Wonderful. Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam, and I know what it's like to have 68 cents in my bank account, to scrape and to scrap and wonder whether or not you're going to be able to make rent the next month. And for me, I started my first company right out of college with all the money that I could save up. And I just wanted a piece. I wanted a chance. I wanted the ability maybe to take my life into my own hands. I know that most people want that, and that's all that they really want. I believe that if you work 8 hours a day, you should be able to afford a home and a family and have a little bit of money left over. And for me, this race is not about me. It's it's for everyone. Because right now, people just want a piece of their community. And what we're going to do is we are going to make our voices heard. We're going to build a movement, and we want you to come along with us. If it's donating, if it's text banking, if it's phone banking, whatever you can do. Because the better that we do, and the better that our voices are able to get to places of power, the better we're all going to do. And so if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's AC for Congress 2020. Our website is forthemany.notjustme.com. And, reach out to us because we would love to have you, and we can use all the help we can get to flip this place. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And Cindy, bring us home.
Absolutely. So it's very clearly close to my children's bedtime right now as they're trying to break through my door. But my name is Dr. Cindy Vanier. I'm a congressional candidate for Florida District 19. That's coastal Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, and Naples area. I'm a mom and small business owner, and I'm fighting for our water, our health, and our community. And I was actually really ready to serve our district and ready to fight for the people. I was particularly compelled to move when my daughter, who was just here, fell ill as an infant. And while she was in the hospital fighting for her life, I was fighting the insurance company, worried about my entire family going bankrupt. And that's something that no one in America should have to worry about. So I'm here to be the servant leader that people in Southwest Florida need. I'm here to be the mom, the strength and the comfort that we need in this time of turmoil in our country. And I'm also here to fight. I'm here to fight all the bullies in Congress because remember, I'm a former professional boxer. It's over here.
Oh, wow.
So if you're worried, anybody, don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm a mama bear. I don't fall apart. I'll take those punches and keep on going and fighting for the people of Southwest Florida until we have a Southwest Florida and an entire United States where the sun truly shines on everyone. So I would love to have you follow on Twitter. That's where all the good conversation happens, SWFL Mom 2020. And also don't forget to follow our coalition, No Dem Left Behind, NoDemLeftBehind.com, and at NDLB 2020, hashtag NDLB 2020. So follow us along and give us your support, volunteer for us. We got a great ambassador corps, and we also need these dollars. All of us are running here in these deep red districts. We're like the long lost orphans sometimes, but we're fighting so hard because everybody deserves a chance, and we're not handing anything over to the Republicans this time around. 2020 is our year, everybody. Let's bring the blue wave.
That is beautiful. Thank you. Well said. Thank you to NoDemLeftBehind.com and everybody who's been watching and following. Follow these great candidates on Twitter. Let's all take up the Ellison Pledge of the 9 minutes and ask people to spend 9 minutes doing something meaningful by voting for all of our lives. Let's make sure that we're fighting voter suppression. Let's make sure that in each of our campaigns, we are making sure that we are as inclusive as possible. When you get to Congress, you'll be voting on things, except for Devin, who's already has people voting on his ideas now. But for everybody else, you'll have your signature legislation when you get there. But between now and then, there's a lot we can do to clean up the racism, the sexism, the homophobia, the transphobia, the ableism in our own campaigns, in our own communities, and in our own lives. So as we go forward, let us take the example of what's happening and make sure that our campaigns are a reflection of our values. As Adam said, make sure you get that data sharing so that your young people can be enfranchised. Make sure that, as Michael said, that if you're a homegrown talent and you're hiring homegrown talent, that people know, hey, there's an alternative here to what you've been getting before. And as Cindy said, bring on the mom energy. I love that. Really important. And, interesting that Jamie and Mitt Romney disagree with Jamie's opponent on Black Lives Matter, but you're on the right side of history. Your opponent isn't, and that's why you're going to do well. And so for each and all of you who have joined us tonight, go to NoDemLeftBehind.com, follow these great people, give them your support. We know it's a tough time with COVID, with, money is tight, but they're going to spend your dollars, stretch them a long way, and they're going to do friend raising as they've been doing. It's time to get out the vote. I think we all want to know, I'll just close where I started with, our message to the future. What do we want that to be? Right here, right now, we're privileged to be in this work and to say we had an opportunity to do something about it. We had an opportunity to offer people something better, something more progressive, something more wholesome, something more inclusive. Why not dream big? And why not push our presidential nominee to dream big? The ground is shifting under our feet. The ground is shifting under our feet because there's a social earthquake out there. I say this from San Francisco where we have actual earthquakes, but it's really true. It's really true. People are changing it. Young people are changing it. People are turning agony into action. And in some cases, people who've been working on these equity issues and these racism issues for years are finally having the moment to say, now we're too gracious because I told you so is not a policy, but to say, see, now you all can understand what we've been trying to tell you. And so as candidates, we know you're going to be good listeners and good speakers and good messengers and representatives for your district. So thank you all for having the courage to run. Thank you, No Dem Left Behind, for bringing us all together. Let's get out, let's support each other, and let's win. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Christine.
Good night, everyone.
Got the outro music.